Okay, so today we're going to talk about making a tail bag for your horse's tail. So here's one that I've already made. As you can see, I've got it sewed. Here it is. That's you want to get a nice stretchy material, one that can go through the wash. If your horse is anything like mine, it gets its tail dirty quite often, and these are good to have a bunch of them and just throw them in the wash. So you want to have your stretchy material, which I've got right here. And we're going to measure this out. You want to do it smaller if it's for a pony or a mini, and my horse is about 16 hands and he's got a thick tail, so I make it a little bigger, but this should be good for any size horse from 15 hands to a smaller draft horse. Okay, so the first thing you want to do with your fabric is cut off the salvages, because we don't need those. So I just like to get rid of them. We don't even really need that ruler. Just get rid of that. Then you're going to want to measure for your tail bag. And you want to remember to leave some extra so that you'll have room for your ties up here. So I did mine 8 inches wide so that when I fold it over, and with the seam allowance, it'll be about 4 inches wide when you're finished. So if you start and go for 8.5 inches wide. If you go 8.5 inches wide and measure that out, and once you sew it, it'll be about 4 inches wide after you fold it over. So just check that. All the way down. Move your fabric if you need to. So that's our width. And then for the length, I want it, mine is about 25 inches, the actual bag part, and then the top parts, the tie-ins, are another 5 inches. So it's about 30 inches long. So if you cut it 30.5 inches, that'll give you a little bit extra room in case you want to fold the top over and do it that way. So we're just going to cut this. Try not to have your ruler slide around like mine is on this slippery fabric. 30.5. Then we're going to cut across the bottom. I'm just going to measure that. Make sure it's straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And your horse doesn't really care if it's straight, but it's nice to have when you're sewing. And we're going to cut this. So there is our, just any place where you didn't get it with the cutter, you can cut with your scissors. There's our cut piece for the tail bag. We don't need this extra fabric. There it is. Okay, so now to sew it, we want to do it inside out, and we're going to fold it over half. So this will be one side. You won't have to sew this side. And then I am going to make the cuts for the ends, the tie-in ends. So for those, I just did a little cut, measured down about 5 inches, and just made a little cut with my scissors into the fabric. Depends on how wide you want your ties to be. And then we just cut that off. And then same thing on the other side. Cut right at that 5-inch mark. Hard to do it that way. Cut down. So those will be where we tie the tail bag into the horse's tail. So now I'm just going to pin this and then take it to the sewing machine. Okay, so I've got my tail bag all pinned and I'm at my sewing machine. So now we're just going to sew up the side and the end of it. And we're going to start, and you want to go back and forth a couple times just to get that end anchored. So we're going to do that. Take the pins out as you go. Just sew a straight line down that side. And make sure your fabric stays lined up. Once you get to that corner, you're going to want to turn and go around it. And we'll trim up these edges when we're done. And just go back and forth over the end to complete it. And make sure you've got both sides. And I like to make a second pass to just sew the whole thing again, just where my horse is kind of hard on the tail bag. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll turn it in right side out. So here's our finished project. What I did was I doubled up on the seam, and then I trimmed off the excess just so there wouldn't be extra fabric in there with the tail. And then I turned it right side out. The other thing you can do is at the top where the ties are, I like to take and put a zigzag stitch around the edge and around the edge of the top of the tail bag, just to finish it off and to try and help it so it doesn't come unraveled on you. And other than that, there's your finished product, tail bag for your horse. And next I'll do a video on making a 3-tube braid-in tail bag. Thank you.